Welcome back. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters, and today we've been talking about self love versus selfishness so far. What is the difference? Is self love selfishness? At what point does self love become selfishness? You know, how to draw the line between one or the other. How do you know that I'm expressing self love or that you're expressing self love or selfishness to your partner, to your friends, and to people around you? Of course, this is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters, and you can join the conversation. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions and your stories, so feel free to join the conversation. And today I have a special guest with me in the studio. She's a certified life coach, a self-help author, and a holistic transformation coach who dedicates her expertise to guiding individuals and on a journey of healing, a transformation, and manifestation. She has certifications in the NLP. I know by now you know that this NLP, most of my coaches are always there. I think I want to go for this NLP thing, neuro linguistic programming, EFT, emotional freedom technique, and CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, matrix reprinting. Not like I know what this means. She empowers individuals to activate the power within them for a more abundant and fulfilling life. Her teachings encompass mindfulness, meditation, a law of attraction, which we actually discussed a few days ago. And she particularly focuses on helping women discover themselves and embrace their worthiness and activate their divine feminine energy. I love the sound of that, divine feminine energy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Natalie Hussein. Hello.
Hello, Deborah.
AKA the Alchemist.
Yes.
I like the sound of that. Good to have you in the studio.
Same here.
Looking very
Thank
radiant.
you for having me.
You're welcome.
You too.
You have a beautiful smile.
Thank
Okay, so now let's get right into it. Someone who looks at you now will say, Natalie looks like someone that has self-love. You know, she took care of herself, her hair, her nails is on point, she loves herself. Please help us out here. What is really self-love? Because usually when people say self-love or want to talk about self-love, they just think it's having the nice things around you or doing nice things for yourself or so from your perspective as a life coach and a transformation coach, what is self-love and what is selfishness?
Okay, so first, this is a very amazing topic because I realize that there's a lot of misconception out there regarding the topic of self-love.
Okay.
So like you said, a lady looks good, like Deborah, her hair is beautiful, and everything. And say, this girl has a lot of self-love. Or anytime she passes the mirror, she's like, ooh, look at me, I look good. And so we describe that as self-love, but that is not what self-love is. Self-love is deeper than that. It is choosing you. It is investing in you. And when I say choosing you, I mean, in our culture, in our society, there's this thing, or even the way life is, the way we're conditioned. We're conditioned to put other people's needs before our own. We're conditioned to take care of others. We're conditioned to, there's just so much. So
maybe for women, no.
For women,
are men conditioned to take care of?
I'm going to get to that, right? So self-love is choosing you. And on a deeper level, we're talking about health-wise. You're talking about emotionally. You're talking about, I also mentioned investing in you. So in whatever situation, in whatever circumstance, it's about choosing you. I'm looking for more words, but I guess as the program goes, I will be able to describe it better. And selfishness is about not caring about others. You don't, it's all about you. You're self-focused, but you can have self-love and still care about the well-being of others. But selfishness simply means I don't care about others. I don't care what happens to them. I don't care how it feels, I'm concerned about what makes me happy. And I don't even care if it's at the detriment of others. So people like that, they don't mind using people, right? Because it's what matters most is how it makes them feel, what they want at the end of the day. So selfishness is about not caring about others. Self-love is about choosing you.
We're going to get deeper on the topic because as far as you've clarified it, it sounds very clear now. I just feel like there's some, when somebody's, there's some, when I love myself, there's some level of selfishness and all that going on. But before we get into that, I want you to help us address, you said most of us, I think we just have it in our head or somewhere in our subconscious or in the way, maybe it's the way we were brought up or something, that when we just we're always looking, especially when in a relationship space or setting, we're always looking out for the other person, other than ourselves. And I want to know, why is that? Why is it that most people are like that? Is the relationship always about looking out for the other person other than yourself? What informed that? Because personally, I also I discovered that it's not like anybody sat me down and taught me that when you get into a relationship, do this. You just find yourself in relationships and then you start to compromise unnecessarily. And you're not asking later. When you now see that why the relationship did not work, you're now thinking, why did I do?
How did this happen?
So I want to know what informs that. Or is it just a natural?
Okay, I think it's multidimensional, and I love the fact that you made a distinction between men and women. So self-love can play in different ways, right? So for women are natural nurturers. Of course, I agree not everybody may be that way, but we're natural nurturers, right? And society has placed a lot of emphasis on women putting others before themselves. Religion, society, family, take care of everyone else, put yourself last, love your neighbor more than yourself. And so there's this thing we do when we get into relationships, and it's called self-abandonment. And we just have this likelihood to abandon ourselves and put someone else on the pedestal. And that, another reason why we do that, if you notice, is not just in relationships, in friendships. Another reason why we do that is because many of us struggle with people pleasing, which is a trauma response that we probably had from some childhood trauma, maybe the way your parents, when you were growing up, your parents, the only way you got their approval or validation was only when you were doing well. And so you see yourself going through life unable to tell people no, unable to advocate for your needs, unable to state what you want. So you just go through life always trying to please others, even at the expense of yourself.
Wow, that's incredibly deep. What could be the cause of that, though?
Okay, so
and before that, sorry to cut you, can we also safely say that self-abandonment is the opposite of self-love? One, and what's my cause it? Because somebody might be hearing this and saying, this sounds like me. I literally forget myself forget myself entirely, but I literally try to please the other person all the time. I literally do experience self-abandonment, like you say, So first, help us with abandonment. Is it the opposite of self-love? One, and then two, what are the causes of self-abandonment?
Okay, so I would say that it can be the opposite, but I don't think that is just one opposite of self-love. I think there could be several ones. Then what could cause it? Like I said earlier, most times it stems back to childhood trauma. You're in a family where maybe you're often criticized, and your parents, especially your caregivers, you had to always do things right, or there was some sort of perfectionism in the home, right? Or you were constantly criticized, there was a standard you had to meet. Or you will notice anytime you did wrong or anytime you were less than perfect, your parents will not give you, some, like our African parents, if you don't come first in class, if your mates are doing better than you, right? So as a result, you're always seeking the validation of your parents. And so you get out of that home, you become an adult, but that trait remains in you.
That is amazing.
And many of us are also still seeking the validation even on social media. So you see, it's so multidimensional, right? So it could come from that. It also comes from the programming of society. religion tells you that you need to sacrifice yourself. So there's this self-sacrificialness that many of us have grown up with, and it's our mind conditioning. And as a result, a lot of people are abandoning themselves.
Yeah. You say selfless behavior, be selfless.
Yes, be selfless.
Just like,
exactly.
God was. Let's take a call before we continue. Hello. Hello.
Good morning, Beverly.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Okay, I'd love to ask a question. In a position where a father and a son are both fighting for a top spot, say leadership for a company, and somehow, some way they go at it, both by broad heads. If the father decides to fight for what he has always wanted, which is the leadership of whatever company it might be, is that self-love or being selfish, knowing fully well for posterity's sake he's supposed to pass the baton to his son? Just a question.
Okay, so let me hear you. Let me understand the question properly. So the person wants a position, a higher position in the office, right?
A father and a son both are fighting for the same position.
Oh, a father and a son?
Yes.
Okay. So are you asking? Oh, when is this self-love or when is this selfishness, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So to speak, the father is supposed to, traditionally, supposed to pass the baton to the son.
Yes.
At the moment where the father still decides
that he wants to hold on to it. Okay.
Exactly.
All
for the sake
right.
of his lifelong dream. Is that selfishness or is that self-love?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the question. Appreciate it. All right, Natalie. I'm tempted to ask, are you the son or are you the father? But let's go to the deep waters. All right. So could you quickly jump on that?
All right. I wouldn't say there is one answer to that. Okay, because I don't know why the father has refused to give it. It may be trust issues. It may be that there is no trust bond. One problem I have with our African child parent setting is that we think certain things should be automatic. Oh, my child is not calling me. I don't have a relationship. This boy doesn't call me. This girl doesn't call me. But there was no relationship built right from when they were younger, right? So, or my dad is supposed to do X, Y, Z. My dad is supposed to act a certain way. But you don't even have a foundation to back that up. So I would say it sounds like there's something deeper.
There's something more.
Yes, there's something more going on there.
Okay, dear caller, if you could call in and shed more light on it so that our coach can actually give you a more direct answer to this situation, because I see a situation of love and hate between both parties.
Exactly.
So why we want to know, why would the father not decide to release this position?
He may also have fear. He may also be driven by fear. The man may also be driven by fear. So you see, so many things are happening.
Or trust,
everywhere.
like you
yes,
mentioned.
exactly. Or the lack of trust.
Yeah. So we can't particularly say, daddy is being selfish here.
Or the son is, because the dad may be looking at the son and saying, my son is a very selfish young man. What does he expect me to do when why is he so in a hurry to take this over? I'm not dead yet. And son is saying, Daddy is selfish.
Yeah, like, what are you doing here? Let the young breathe.
Yeah.
Don't suffocate us. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so dear caller, if you can call in to shed more light on it so that we can actually give you a more, apt answer, that would really help. But thank you so much for calling and for the question. If you have calls and opinions and thoughts and questions on the topic of the day, self-love versus selfishness, when is it love, when is it selfishness, how to know the difference, what are the signs and symptoms of self-love? Sometimes you're in a situation you think, this is self-love, but maybe you're just being selfish. And sometimes you're sometimes you're even experiencing or doing things that, like she said, self-abandonment. We don't even know what self-love in itself means. So if you have thoughts and questions, join the conversation. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters, and then I'm still in the studio with life coach and transformation coach Natalie Hussein. All right, let's move to the signs and symptoms of when I say signs and symptoms, it makes it feel like some biological illness or something. Okay, some, what's other English I can use?
Let's use the one you use.
Signs and symptoms. Okay, of self-love. So what are the things that we see and say, oh, this is actually self-love? And what are the things that we look at and say, this is selfishness? I know you already created a difference, but sometimes it's deeper than that, like you said.
Yes, it is.
So our caller has made it, in this situation now that we looked at, we're confused that, oh, is this self-love,
Exactly.
selfishness? So what are the things that we're supposed to see and say, okay, this is actually self-love or selfishness?
All right, some signs that a person loves themselves. So I'm going to use my definition again.
Okay.
That you choose yourself. And let me use a relationship or your relationship with your friends or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Your mental well-being. You know that someone is not good for you and you're not comfortable doing something, right? So at the expense, not at the expense of someone else, it's just at the expense of your mental health. So you choose your mental health. You decide that this is not good for me, this is good for me, right? And you actually stick to it. You know how peer pressure, social media pressure, whatever kind of
like
pressure,
you really
family
want
pressure.
to do it, but you have to do it because
exactly. So that's when you keep choosing things that are not right for you, it actually can show a lack of self-love. When you start choosing yourself, health-wise, let me use an example. You know that sometimes self-love is tough. From my understanding of self-love,
Okay.
I've realized that self-love is tough because you have to make hard decisions. You have to make decisions that are good for you and you only.
So other people might not even consider that self-love in that situation sometimes.
No, when you start choosing self-love, people will tell you you're selfish. Because we're used to a society of people pleasing, of everybody, you don't say how you really feel because you don't want to hurt the next person. And everybody's hiding, everybody's disguising, in quotes. We're not setting boundaries. We can't tell people who are older than us, I don't like what you did, I'm not happy about this.
But that's scary when you say that. When we start to choose self-love, people will call us selfish, because at that point in time it starts to feel like, oh, and if everybody is calling me selfish,
when you still care about the validation of people, it means you haven't learned to love yourself.
then self-love is a question of perception. Could it be?
Well, it could be because self-love is self-love, not people love.
Yeah, so if I am doing something that consider that it might be selfish, I can say, no, this is self-love because I'm choosing myself. It's investing in yourself. It's investing in your mental health. It's investing in going to therapy. It's not enough to buy designer bags and wear beautiful clothes. What is going on the inside of you? How much are you spending to take care of your inner self? How much are you spending into your future? Now, let me ask you a question. Okay.
If I tell you that the shares of a company is going to go up, right? Are going to go up and it's going to skyrocket. I have insider information. What would you do? And you have some money on it. What would you do?
I would probably sell my shares fast enough.
No, the shares of a company will go up.
Okay. Oh, okay. I buy more.
You buy, right? Good. A lot of that's because you believe in the company that it's going up. You have that insider information. How many people actually invest in themselves, invest in their dreams, invest in their mental health, in their emotional health? How many people, this relationship is not good for you, and you're able to say, okay, this is not good for my mental health, not good for my emotional health, and then you're able to take, say, no, this is not good for me, and then you walk away from it. Even our friendships, many of us can't speak up. You can't create boundaries, right? And you can't do those things that are right for you first. When you can't do that, that is a lack of self-love. And when you're able to start doing it, it's a real journey, because you have to start telling yourself some deep truths. It's also about changing, transforming yourself. You're realizing this version of me is not going to get me to where I'm going, right? And because you believe so much in yourself, you're able to start investing in yourself to do what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And so you see the way some people say, oh, I'm struggling with my weight. It's not that. The reason why a lot of people may be struggling with their weight and the way they eat, they lack self-love. The reason why a lot of women are still in really bad relationships, abusive relationships, is lack of self-love. And self-love shows in your lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem. The reason why a lot of people may not be able to voice out how they feel, they constantly have people who treat them badly, is because they lack self-love.
So when self-love, when I thank you for shedding more light. We see ourselves, we hear ourselves, we know ourselves. I'm choosing myself in this situation. But when choosing yourself now makes others uncomfortable, one, hurts another person, two, or maybe just let me just use the best, makes others uncomfortable. What does it become then? Is it still self-love or selfishness? Before you take that, let's take a caller. Oh, I lost that. The number to call is 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Please join the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, opinions. Feel free to call in. Okay, so when you've chosen yourself, now you're clear, choosing yourself, that's what self-love is. Hearing yourself in this situation. When you choose yourself and makes others uncomfortable, and other people start to say, oh no, this is selfish. It's when it makes others uncomfortable or has a negative impact on others. Is that selfishness?
Those are two different things.
Okay, let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Anthony.
Anthony.
From Surulere.
Thank you for calling. I appreciate you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just tuned into my casino now. I had a conversation on program.
Okay.
And I want to share I want to share my past life, and also I want to ask a question.
Okay.
My past life was all about my ex girlfriend, my fiancée.
Okay.
I mean, if I say she's my wife, then I'm not making a mistake, because I've visited her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And they are taking drink from me.
Okay.
And accept to give her as a marriage.
Okay.
The girl in question, she told me she wants to go to school. She wants to go to a higher institution.
Mm-hmm.
And which her brother in UK says he can't fund her education. Only he can pay for the school fees, but the accommodation and feeding, he can't carry that load.
Okay.
Because of my feelings for her as my wife,
as your wife to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I choose the part of the accommodation and feeding, which is the highest part of education.
Wow.
Highest expenditure in the university. As anybody in higher institution, the highest expenditure is accommodation and feeding.
True.
School fees is nothing.
Okay.
I tried my best with her for good 5 years.
Wow.
On her final year, she was doing her project. I have an accident. My way coming from Cameroon, my vehicle have accident. I was on sick bed, and she requested for laptop.
Wow.
Meanwhile, when BlackBerry Touch came out, I bought her BlackBerry Touch. Just about a year after the BlackBerry Touch, she requested for laptop. I told her I don't have money for laptop now. So you use your BlackBerry for your project. Maybe before you come out, before your service, I will get you a laptop. You install whatever you want to install.
Okay.
All she told me is that if I cannot get her laptop, that will be the end of the relationship.
Okay.
I told her, I asked her a question. If I can sponsor your education for good 5 years.
5 years. What is laptop?
Complaining. I brought up my deposit slip, which I used to pay money to her account from bank. And I'm talking about the one I used to give her cash whenever she come in, whatever. I was able to calculate 1,850,000.
Wow.
And I told her, I asked her, now, are you cutting off this relationship now because of laptop, of how much, or you are not interested on this marriage? She said all she cared that I should go to hell, I should go to the mud and die.
Okay, so what's the question here?
Now,
Anthony?
The question I want to ask is, what is love all about? Is it for material things or for the feeling which you have towards your partner?
Okay. Are you guys still together?
Is love physical or spiritual?
Okay. Are you guys still together?
Right, I'm talking to you now. It's over 3 years now. So the marriage is ended.
Oh,
I've gone, I'll find her way. I'm on my own.
so sad. So because you didn't get her the laptop, the thing ended.
Yeah. She
Wow.
just walked away because of laptop.
Wow, that's sad. So I think the question here would be, I don't even know if there's a self-love, selfish dynamic here.
I wonder what the question is. So what's your question?
Is there what is love?
What is love?
Like what is it for material things or
What
for?
is love all about?
Yes.
And what is
So are
love
you
all
regretting your action by also walking away at that point in time? Because for you to ask the question means you.
I seriously regret every action I took on her. Every minute.
Okay, so I have a
Thank
question
you.
for him. I have a question for you, right? Was that the first time she was showing herself as not being concerned about you?
Yeah. Before then, when she comes around, because I'm the type that I made a vow, even at the altar or the mountain, that no matter what a woman did to me, I will never raise my hand on that woman. Sometimes she do come around, she got upset and she took my things, break whatever, slap me. I only picked up my clothes and just walk out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll shed more light on that. Do you have any other comment? Because I know you said you had a two-part thing to say.
Yes.
Yeah, you said you had a question and a comment or something. Or are you done?
Yes. Yeah. What I want to add to this is it good? And my question is it good to show your partner the real love you have when you are not yet married, or
Should you hold it until you're married?
yeah?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you actually hear a self-love, selfish dynamic right there,
Yeah.
because the girl walking away now, you can ask now, is that selfish, or is this her choosing herself, like say, okay, this man that cannot be there for me, maybe he hasn't been there for her in some couple of things, and this was the height of it. I don't know. That's the way to look at it.
I love the way you're bringing it down, so it's relatable. So yes, I understand
so
it.
that is that, and then it goes on to ask, oh, what is love? Should I hold on? Should I hold on all I can be? Should I be selfish about my expression of love?
Yeah.
Or is that in itself self-love, by holding on to how I can express this love to a woman or to a man just because they might take advantage of me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to just put this in perspective. All right.
So I would say that, first of all, he didn't love himself. And that was why I asked a question. Was this the first time you were having such experience? And he said she has come to his house, she has broken stuff. And remember what I said before we went on call? And I said, the reason why you stay with someone who is abusive is because you don't love yourself. If you love, okay, let me just tell you what self-love is. In plain, you have a child, you love this child. And how would you treat this child that you love? You want to protect it. You want to give it, you want to nurture it, right? The child wants ice cream every day. Are you going to give it ice cream every day? Are you going to give that child ice cream every day?
Well, no, because my little...
You're making the hard decisions for the child. But we don't treat ourselves that way. If a child is going through a tough time, how do you treat the child? The child is crying, made a mistake. What do you do?
Well, I'll pet the child,
Self-compassion, right? You bring compassion in. But how do we treat ourselves when we make mistakes?
We'll pick ourselves up and we'll just go all ranting and put the blame on others.
And on ourselves. Some of us are so hard on ourselves, and we're hard on because when you're hard, you can only love others to the degree you love yourself, right?
Well, we're coming to that, because that degree thing of, I've seen people show, so that thing where you are giving, like in his case, giving to another person what you haven't given to yourself.
That was not self-love.
That was what?
That was self-abandonment. So the reason why some of us are trying to buy people's love. And the reason why we're doing it is because we don't love ourselves enough. So we're constantly trying to, the goalpost keeps shifting. But we keep trying to meet it. The person tells you, if you don't do this for me, okay, so now yes, Deborah, as pretty as you are, you have to start coming every Saturday, clean my house to show me that you're good wife material. And you start doing that. And then the goalpost shifts. And from today, you know, you're constant, you don't love Deborah.
But in that situation, even if you bring it to that situation, as in a man and a woman's dynamic, there are some things that a man would do. Even if you come from the woman's perspective, you say, if this man really cares about me and loves me, I want to test him with one or two things. And you do that, and you test him with him, and he runs away. And you say, oh, I don't think he really actually cares about me. So if you are saying, oh, the goalpost is shifting and we're not setting, so how do you set your standard as a woman? How do you set those things in place?
Is this person considering, okay, so I'm going to, there was an example I used, and I love to use it anytime I talk about self-love. Self-love is self-compassion, giving yourself compassion. So imagine you have a child. How do you treat that child, right? That for me is the basis of how we can describe self-love. Many of us don't even treat our bodies well. We hate our bodies, we hate the way we look, we want to be a certain way before we can even accept ourselves. Many of us are struggling with validation. We are constantly seeking validation from the outside. So when you love yourself, you love you. It's not a matter of, so I think there's a superficial definition of self-love that is out there, and people having all the standards. But most times, these people don't even really love themselves.
Beyond all the actions, right? That, oh, do this to do that.
Do they really choose people who are good for them, for their soul? Or are they choosing based on, so, you know, you're coming all these defenses and you're like, and you see most of the time, such people, they jump, you could jump into a toxic. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have standards or you shouldn't have expectations. Of course, all of this comes, right? But a lot of people have done this stuff and they're still in very toxic relationships because this man or woman is not choosing them. So I had a conversation with a client earlier this, let me use this. I had a conversation with a client. I coached her and she was having issues with a family member, right? And we had a conversation around it, and there was something I told her. I said, you need to start choosing you, and your family member has to choose you. Right now you're constantly trying to gain her love, you're constantly trying to earn her validation, but she's not there yet.
But that's what they tell men to do, to earn women's love and their attention.
And they also tell women to do the same thing.
Yes.
But you know why we're doing that? Because we have not validated ourselves. When you get to a place where you have validated yourself, the validation of people becomes like pouring water on a duck's back.
What would you think Anthony could have done in that situation that he found himself?
From the moment the lady showed that she wasn't choosing him, the signs were there, and I'm sorry to say it this way, but he was buying her love. He thought, and buying her love is not necessarily material. It could be true. The more I do, the more you will see that I'm worthy. The more I do things. So I'm trying to earn being worthy.
So it feels like you are not enough and you have to do
yes,
that.
It's a sense of unworthiness and not enoughness.
This is really, really deep. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Let's take another call. Hello.
Hello, Deborah.
Hi. Thanks for calling.
Yes, it's me Anthony that called back. I asked what you said, but I forget my second question, and that's why I called back.
Exactly, because I know you told me you had to. All right, go ahead.
Yes. And I want you to advise me that question.
Okay.
This girl in question now, after breaking up for about 4 to 5 years now, she sent me an SMS on my WhatsApp, and I checked what the message says. Love is painful, and not being loved is painful too. But it gives a greater pain when you love and not being loved in return. What does she mean? And as I'm talking to you now, she's begging for reconciliation. What would you advise me to do?
Interesting. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing. Okay. I feel like there's a sweat on my head. I'm trying to clean it.
The topic is like multi-layered, right?
It is. It's really, really deep, you know.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so back to Anthony. So I think Anthony is in a dilemma. You can actually hear it from me. This thing has been
still loves her.
Yeah, this thing has been done for 3 years, but she's trying to come back. He's thinking, you left me. you thought I wasn't enough, and I tried, I proved myself over and over again. Now you want me back and all that. And you said he suffered from lack of self-love, right?
Yes.
Literally, we don't know. Maybe he has outgrown that now. So what would you advise now that she wants him back?
I don't know where she is in her own journey, in her own healing journey, but I'm going to assume she's still the same person. The thing with selfish people and people who are narcissistic or have narcissistic tendencies is that they love you as long as they can use you. You have to be fulfilling a need for them.
Try. That hurts.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Anthony.
So she knows he still has a soft spot for her, and you can see her messages to sound very manipulative, right?
Love is painful. How did she put it?
Yeah. So you see, this is someone who is obviously very manipulative.
So what if she has changed?
That's why I said I'm going to assume
That she's still the same.
she's still the same. I don't know where she is on her healing journey. Maybe she has come to a point of self-awareness. But I feel if she had come to a point of self-awareness, the first thing she would be looking for is how to apologize and really make amends.
And do more. Just
do you understand? It's not a matter of, I want to cruise back into your life because I thought out there things were, I was the
streets
issue.
are not smiling.
The streets are not smiling. The streets are cold, right? But when I see that it's not as warm as I thought, and I thought I was the ish, and nobody's giving me that princess treatment, and then I want you back. I want to assure him if they don't work on whatever it is she's going to just do the same thing, and it's going to be, this time she may not walk away because she knows how it is out there, but he's still going to go through the same hell. And like he said, he made a statement. He said, loving and not being loved in return. So you know that this person is here for whatever. He may not know because, love may have blinded him. But since he asked us what to do, I feel if she really has had a change of heart, if she has really grown, I feel her first step will not be trying to manipulate him to get back with her. It will be trying to apologize because it comes with a sense of remorseness, awareness. I treated you really bad.
I walked away when you needed me the most on the hospital bed. And I walked away because of a
said that was mean. That was hurtful. How could I? I'm so sorry. And then you give the person time if they even want to have that conversation. But she's just
right.
going.
Yeah.
The way we say she has his mumu button, so maybe.
So what do you think he should set standards now for himself or something? And we don't even know if he's also in a place of self-love, because for Anthony to call in and share his thoughts now, it could be that it's a place of dilemma, and I want to know, should I take her back or should I not?
I feel even if they have to get back together ever, there's a lot of work that needs to happen. And then they need to go for therapy. They need to see someone. He needs to be sure her intentions are genuine.
True intention.
Yes.
It's not materialistic anymore.
And he needs to love himself. So there's something I tell ladies whenever I see someone going through an abusive situation. I don't tell them to leave their homes because they would dig their foot deeper into it. I start teaching them and showing them to love themselves. Because once you start loving yourself, there's some things you can no longer take. Once you start to place value on you, there's certain spaces that are too small for you.
There's one question I asked that we missed. I think we should answer that before we go.
Selfishness?
Yes, I said, when you are choosing yourself and loving yourself and it starts to maybe hurt other people are uncomfortable with it, maybe your friend, your spouse, or anybody is not comfortable with your decisions because you've chosen yourself, is it now selfish then? Does it lose the value as the self-love value? Okay,
so we haven't really talked about selfishness. Selfishness is, like I said earlier, it's about you don't care about others. You can love yourself and still have concern about others. It's just that on the hierarchy, you're up and then others come next. And even as a mother, you take care of your needs. You don't self-abandon because you want to take care of everyone else, right? Now, selfishness...
So you should always be on number one.
Yes, you should. Because if you don't pour into yourself, how do you pour into others? A lot of women especially are giving from a place of dryness. They have nothing to give. They're at point zero. But they're still giving. They're still trying to help everybody. They're still trying to meet everybody's needs.
That is not even selflessness anymore.
That is not self. That is either Messiah complex or the self-abandonment which shows in savior complex. Yes, that's the Messiah complex. So a lot of people, especially, they may be mothers, they may be wives or anything, and this is how they live, right? They can't, I don't feel like doing this, but I have to. So of course you will make people uncomfortable. However, where I will say the selfishness part shows is when you're hurting others, because then you don't care whose ox is gored. You have no concern for the next person. So I feel that you can be a very empathetic person. I learned self-love, and that is why I'm able to talk about it, and I'm so passionate about it. I had to learn it because I was constantly abandoning myself to help people, to meet people's needs, especially as an empathetic person, right? And I will put myself last. There's no nobility in that. You just dry up mentally, spiritually, financially, and otherwise. Men also do it too, especially financially. So men don't know how to say no, whether it's family member. Yeah, exactly, to a point. They don't even know how to tell people, my mental health right now is priority. This person is not good for me. We're constantly trying to make everybody happy. You're trying to make the church happy. You're trying to make your family happy. You're trying to make society happy.
I'm so sorry, it's time for us to go. But
dear.
most important thing is that we should shift from selfish or selfless, in quotes, seeming selflessness, which might be self-abandonment.
And start pouring into yourself,
self-love,
and give yourself the love that you give to others.
This topic is definitely a 2-part series, and I'd love to have you again for another episode. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you for having
life
me.
Life coach and transformation coach, for sharing with us, and sharing with us from your deep wealth of love.
My pleasure.
How can people find you in case Anthony has more questions for you? How can he find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Transform with Natalie, once you type it. Also on YouTube, but if you want to send me a message, you can easily reach me on Instagram, Transform with Natalie, at Transform with Natalie on Instagram.
Yes.
And then
okay,
so
that's how you can find. And Anthony, if you have more questions, I saw more calls coming in. So if you have more questions and you want to, talk to Natalie, please, visit her on Instagram, Transform with Natalie. This episode would be broadcast tomorrow again at 11 p.m. on Silverbird TV and DSTV channel 252. That's 11:30 p.m. And if you want to watch a recorded episode, it's going to be posted on YouTube at Deborah_Waters on YouTube. I am Deborah Waters. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Don't forget to follow at Deepwaters_podcast on Instagram to be a part of the Deep Waters community, and it's a place where we actually love ourselves and encourage more love and less self-abandonment. Thank you so much,
and
Natalie.
have deep talks like this.
Yes,
awesome.
deep talks like this. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.